of Mugen Tenshi!
Welcome. This is Top Tier Tips. Greetings everyone, I'm Force Nature of Top Tier Tips, and I welcome you to an advanced guide for Kasumi in Dead or Alive 6. If you're watching this guide, then it's already assumed that you've watched the novice guide for Kasumi in DOA 6. If you haven't watched already, then I want you to stop what you're doing, go to that video, and watch it right now. Don't worry, I ain't going anywhere. Finished? Good. Like I just said, this Kasumi guide will assume that you've already watched the novice Kasumi guide, which you hopefully, well, at least just done if you haven't already. And I also will apologize if I reiterate anything in this guide from that novice guide, because if I reiterate anything for Kasumi here, it's probably important. Kasumi's an interesting character in Dead or Alive 6. I mean, she's surprisingly balanced between offense and defense. At first glance, she seems like a rushdown character where you just get in the opponent's face and just push a lot of buttons. I mean, you could kind of do that, even though that's not really the most effective way to play her. Kasumi is considered to actually be not pure rushdown, but her fighting style is considered to be counter hit fission. So that means fission for this. This is counter hit stun. This is Kasumi's I-11 6-piece or 11 frame elbow. This is really good. It will out-prioritize pretty much all other elbows in the game aside from like Jan Lee's or Zack, so it's really good. If you want to fish for a normal hit stun, you can use like PKK. Like this is really good, so if you're uncertain if you're going to get like counter hit with this, but you can go for counter hit stuns with like 6P, 4P, 3P. You can even use 6P, delay K, and then 6PK can stun on counter hit, so that's really good. With reference to defense, what you can do is hang around mid-range, poke with, try and fish for a counter hit with like 4P, which can crush highs. 3P I think might also crush highs a little bit. You can also fish with like 6P is also really good. But also with reference to defense, Kasumi's also has good mobility. There's like 3P plus K, 9P. You can even kind of get a little gimmicky with like 9P plus K. You can create space with 7P. So yeah, Kasumi's just really good whether you like an offensive or defensive type of playstyle. But before I go on, I want to thank Smart Esports and Trollcoin for endorsing this video. And as always, if you like this video, smash that like button. If you didn't like the video, just hit the like button anyway, and don't forget to subscribe for more juicy 3D fighter content. I also want to take this moment to thank my premium top tier fighters for their continued support, which is appreciated. If you'd like to be a premium top tier fighter also, feel free to click the Patreon link down below. I say it in my novice guides, and damn it, I'm going to say it in my advanced guides also. When you go into free trading mode, end up going down to the fight screen info. And right here, it's on off. So right now, I set it to either free trading only or all modes. Honestly, just do free trading only. And now, let's see, you have left and right. So left side would be Kasumi, right side would be Ayane in this case. So since we're looking at the left side character Kasumi, just leave it on left. And presto, you have arguably one of the best move details boxes out of like frame data boxes out of pretty much any fighting game. But let's just take a recap of Kasumi's general poking speed. So you got a 9-frame jab, 11-frame elbow or 6P. You have a 12-frame 2P. You have a 14-frame 3K, so that's your go-to mid-kick. You also have a 15-frame tracking kick. And if you want to be disrespectful to your opponent, you just hit them with the your 12-frame 7K right here. So just like this, anytime you want to be disrespectful to your opponent's frames, hit him with the hashtag 7K. While playing Kasumi in general, you want to decide whether you want to adopt a more kind of offensive, aggressive rushdown playstyle or more slightly passive, methodical, defensive playstyle. If you're going for more of a defensive playstyle, then generally this is going to be like your go-to poke. You're going to be trying to hit the opponent with 4P. If you end up connecting this on counter hits, it's like really good, and it even has a follow-up in 4PP. If you know it's going to hit, then you can do 4PK. Get like a small like juggle afterwards with like PP 6P 6K. So right here, yeah, this is a good poke. If you're gonna be going for more of a rushdown style, which is perfectly fine with Kasumi, then you're gonna be using a lot of like, well, leading with your jab strings, your PKK. Remember, Kasumi strings are very delayable, so PKK is really good. Even just simply a PK checks are like okay. Also, if you're unsure if you don't want to go too far with the string, but generally Kasumi's like jabs are like really good. Your 6P is amazing. So with 6P, if you end up hitting this, so if you just get a general counter hit, you're at plus 20, so that's like pretty good. You can like connect. You can like connect like, well, the relatively faster launcher. Something slower like 33P wouldn't connect on that since it's at 20 frames. But yeah, I mean like 6P is like really good when it hits. But generally for like a go-to, like regardless if you get like a counter hit or not, is using this poke right here, 6 PK. So if like even on the opponent's block, it's good. Right there, it says minus 12, but of course I might have said this also in the novice guide. It pushes you out of punish range. So unless you're doing it like with the opponent right, like I could show you like right now, unless you do it like right with the opponent at the wall or something like that, then yeah, you're in a throw range. But in general, this poke is godlike. Like, I mean, you could delay it quite well. And to top it off, it even has a low fall. You got an extra kick fall there, like a mid kick ender, or a low ender, for instance. So yeah, 6 PK is pretty much your just go-to for anything. You can use it in like close range. You can use it as like a poke from mid range. That kick is safe, and it's great. After you counter hit the opponent with 6P, let's see. So you hit the opponent with counter hit 6P. 3P, good. You can launch with 8K, good. P6P, good. You can also launch with 33K. You can launch with 7K. The slowest launcher you can connect is 3H+K. Like 33P won't. 33P will be too slow to end up connecting. So like 33K also really good launcher in general. 7K can actually. 7K can set up a pretty cool looking combo right there, which I've ended up showing in some sample combos. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that you can end up doing after 6P, and also like just simply doing jab's fine. It could be a cancel. Single jab is fine. So I mean, yeah, there's like a bunch of stuff you can do. You can even launch with like 8KK if you like so desire. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff you can do after counter hit 6P, and of course, anytime the opponent starts holding or anything like that, then of course hit him with the launcher throw. When you counter hit the opponent with 6PK, you end up pushing them further away to just simply counter hitting them with 6P, so there's less things that you can follow up with, but I'll just show you some stuff that you can follow up with. 3P is fine. You can launch with 8K. Get a small juggle. You can launch with 4PK. Also sets up a small juggle. And you can also do 3K is okay. P plus K is okay. You can also do dash up jab, but the window to do so can be like a little tight. If you end up being late, then you end up, well, you don't end up extending the stun. So you have to do like a micro dash and just PP afterwards, and you get a nice plus 35 stun while they're stumbling away. Your go-to normal hit stun is PKK. Right here gives you plus 19 stun on normal hit or even like counter hit. So basically, if you condition the opponent just with like PK checks, you can sneak in the stun. So basically, this is the same as if you like were to hit someone with like for instance, if you were to hit someone with like a counter hit, like 6P or something like that, so you're at like plus 20. So the kind of things you do, like again, the same things like 3P is good, 8K is still good, 3K is okay. I mean, it's still good even though I'm in a tighter window. And you can always like launch with like 4PK. You can launch with like 7K. You can do jab, P6P. So I mean, basically a lot of the same stuff as like 6P. So I mean, there's like Kasumi strikes are really fast. So there's a lot of stuff that you can usually follow up on her stuns, which kind of makes her stun game just like really like just devastating and incredibly annoying to the opponent. 3K stun are just 3K on counter hits kind of sucky compared to the other moves I just showed you. It gives you a plus 19 stun, but you're basically too far for any of your like go-to launchers to really connect. So basically, if you do it in close, then all you can do is 4PK and get a launch. If you do that from like tip range, and 4P will whiff, so you have to keep that in mind. So your general go-to after 3K will either be 6P or 6K to basically extend the stun. Your go-to tracking low and close, or just go-to low in general and close with Kasumi, well, apart from 2Ps, could be 1K. This right here leaves you at plus 6 and a +6 stun, or I'll just basically call it frame advantage because you can get absolutely nothing off of +6. Okay, no, it was a lot better at +14 back in Dead or Alive by last round. But you can do either like 1K or PP 2K, even though I know PP 2K is a bit horrible. Telegraph, where 1K is 20 frame low. It's hard to react to. After this, what I want you to do is hit the opponent with a launcher throw. Because you see right here, it perfectly sets up the advantage to be able to sneak in a 12 frame throw. The reason why you're doing this is because then the opponent's going to have to do two things. They're going to either crouch or they're going to push buttons. When you're at +6, when Kasumi ends up having this little thing here called counter hit 6B or counter hit elbow, and I know 1K ends up knocking down counter hit, the opponent does not want to get hit by that, so that's why you end up like sneaking in this. So basically, when they end up doing again disrespectful, then smack him with the 6P. You can also do like 3K, like 3K. So let me just set it back to just set off the counter, so you just get the kind of idea. So if you think you're gonna push buttons, then just sneak in 3K. This right here. The reason why I like this move is because come on, set up. See right here, it's a safe launcher. Even though it's -11, same thing, just like 6PK. It pushes back really well. So just this. So this move 3K is just really good. But yeah, just 1K is basically your go-to low for like trying to open up opponents. For go-to tracking moves, you're going to be using 6PK because 6PK is just godlike like that. You can also use stuff like 6K. 6K has pretty good range at about 1.81 meters, so that's pretty. 6K is pretty good, but it only leaves you at about like +9 or +10. I think the most it can leave you at is +11 based on range. Like it has a lot of active frames at 14, so I mean it's a 15 frame tracking move, so it's really good in general, but it doesn't really allow for any sort of like follow-ups or anything. Like if I can get it to be like +11, the best you can do is for the jab, but really you can't really follow up with anything. It does have a couple follow-ups and then 6KK, which ends up knocking the opponent around, so that's basically a safe. That's ended up being a safe high or an unsafe low, which just simply knocks the opponent down. But the nice go-to tracking move is P+K. So I mean, like 6PK is good in itself, but you can also use P+K. You see right here on counter hit, this gives you a very juicy lift stun. It leaves you at +26. So similar to like with like a 3P on like counter hit or anything like that. P+K is also really good. It's the same as like P6P, as you see right here. Like 6PK is basically a linear move and a tracking move. P6P, same thing, linear move, then track and move right after. After a P+K, like I said, all the same stuff you can generally do off of a lift stun. So basically, like any launcher that you want or anything like that, you can end up doing that. Same idea with a P+K. You can also do something that's kind of cool, like such as. You can even launch, for instance, like P+K 6K. Kasumi's guard break game isn't really that good, but she does have a few to work with. For instance, she has 6-6 PPs right there, or 6-6 PP 6 more specifically, because if you just do 6-6 PP, it's a high track and guard break, but you leave yourself at -7. If you do 6-6 PP 6 or forward punch forward, then you leave yourself at +4. So right there, at +4, the opponent has to kind of respect any option you do out of there. But the thing is, I'll show you right now. The two go-to options off of this high track and guard break, 6-6 PP 6, is the elbow, the punch option, which is a really fast elbow that leaves you just -6, or the throw option. But you see right there, the issue right there is both those moves are highs. So that means that your mid option unfortunately is like incredibly unsafe. Right there, like even if you end up doing like either one, you end up leaving yourself a double-digit negative. But generally, the opponent does not want to get hit by that, because then they can get launched and like juggled right after, and you're like in complete control. So they do have to respect that if you think they're going to either push buttons or crouching or anything, you're going to get launched by the knee. So of course the opponent kind of has to block. That's why of course you can end up sneaking in the throw, which looks a lot like the 3-3T overrow throw. But yes, but I mean, it's a decent guard break, because I mean the opponent also has to pay attention to the alternatives that you can do out of 6-6P. For instance, there's also just raw 6-6P, which is the best option. Gives you a pretty decent stun when it hits. And of course, there's a follow-up in 6-6P K, which is also unsafe. So, I mean, this is basically your safe option. Be careful, the opponent can crouch under the high if you keep up trying to use it. But yeah, that's one guard break. Another guard break right now is 9 PP. Right here, this leaves you at like -3 or -4. Recently in patch 1.19, this was actually switched. This used to be like -1 or neutral. So this guard break was like really good, but now it's, well, kind of a fake guard break, like leaves you at negative. So that means if you leave yourself, you can leave yourself at about, let's say, like -3. If you're at -3, that basically, I mean, under most circumstances, your turn would be over, but Kasumi's pretty fast, so you could try and, like, I don't know, Parry with jabs, 2P, try and sneak in PK. Of course, you always have your... You always have, like, sidestep options. 4-4P is just a really nice kind of poke to deal with retaliation with Kasumi. It's an auto sidestep move in right here. And even this move also... stop going around. It also stuns on normal hit, which is actually pretty amazing. But in general, yeah, this guard break went from being godlike to just being kind of like okay. For other guard breaks, Kasumi has her 9 PK. Right here, if you just do 9 PK, you leave yourself at -13. If you press forward to go into the Hoshinpo transition, you are now at +7. So this becomes pretty much a very similar guard break to, well, 6-6 PP6. Like so. So after this, it's pretty much the same kind of options if you were to use this as a guard break, but it's just not a, even though it has like pretty good range. Like this bad boy goes like pretty far. I mean, yeah, 1.68. I mean, still because of the, I mean that's off of the 9P. So the 9P ends up going forward, and then you end up kicking after this. So this covers like a lot of distance. But the same thing again. Your mid option is a heavily unsafe launcher knee, so the same thing. I mean, the thing that ends up helping out this guard break is that the opponent does have to respect the knee, but of course the opponent may also know that your go-to options are high, so that, I mean, that's just part of the whole mind game of the whole thing. And there's one more pretty sick looking guard break with Kasumi, which ends up requiring her having her back to the wall. If you do 7 PP at the wall, you end up getting this awesome looking +3 guard break where Kasumi just kind of just chucks herself at the opponent. And with +3 with Kasumi, that means you get buttons. So you can basically just do like whatever you want afterwards. You can even try and sneak in like a 12 frame throw. But let's say if you were to connect 7 PP on the opponent, once I can kind of get Ayane back into position and make sure I get her close enough so I don't whiff. Alright, so let's say for instance if I were to end up hitting this with her. Then you can end up launching the opponent with 4P for instance. Like it's a pretty awesome looking move if you have like wall or ropes or anything like that. In general, what you're going to be doing in close with Kasumi, aside from anything I ended up showing you earlier in this guide or in the novice guide, is you're going to be leading with your jab strings. So I mean, even something as simple as PP is fine. Like Kasumi's PP is good. I mean, oh Jesus, it sounded really dirty. But yeah. So basically, the example that you're gonna an example lead-in that you're gonna use, like for instance on like an opponent's block or something like that, is like PP 6P. See right here, this is fine. And see the mix-up, see this is high, mid. So the mix-up with this is high, low. So that's how you can try and sneak in 1Ks by mixing in PP 6P. Anything that ends in PP, well basically anything that ends in 6PK right here, this mid kick here. So that includes PP 6PK right here. So just get the opponent to block. Again, I already showed you before that this, don't let the -12 fool you. This move is safe. The same with PP 6PK. This move is safe. Another thing that also makes that that ender good is because there's an alternative. Along with 6PK, there's 6P2K. So if you end up hitting the opponent with that, ends up causing a trip and you end up getting like +11. Hint, hint, I think in a corner you can actually connect the jab, but it pushes back too far in open space. So this move is really good. It's just a really good tracking low. You can get that off with like 4P, 2K, 3P, 2K, and it's also like incredibly delayable. So it's just a really good tracking low. And now back to 6PK, or PP 6PK. If you end up getting this move blocked, a follow-up that you can end up doing after this is 4-4P. I already showed you earlier that this move is an auto sidestep high attack, and it goes into the jab. So any move that you can do out of the jab string, 4-4P has it also. So I mean, you can even do like PK, PKK. So you kind of get the idea, or PP. So, and the thing though is because it's stuns, it makes it like basically even better than like a normal jab. But then it's a good auto side step. It's a 25 frame move. So after you get something like this blocked, it pushes back. So it makes it even a bit easier to try and implement this, because then you're, I mean, if the opponent tries to do like a jab retaliation, then they'll end up beating out. So I mean, this move is just so freaking good. I mean, and again, I mean, a different kind of like mix-ups, and even have like a high elbow safe ender right there, 6BP. But of course, I mean, like 6BK, 6B2K. Out of Kasumi's P strings, like, you know, there's a lot of like good stuff you can end up doing out of it. But I'll just end up wanting to focus on this move right now. Here, this is PPP. I mean, I know, just so many P's. Alright, this move is like 3P right here. So, I mean, you get the same gigantic lift stun, which lets you follow up with whatever. What's kind of nice is this move does not count as 3P. So if you do the same move twice in a row, you end up ending the stun right away. So if you like do 3P, either knock the opponent down or you launch them. But if you do PPP, then 3P, then it's like you're basically kind of like extending the stun. Although of course at that point you probably just want to just go for a launcher anyway. But just that with your P string, if you're trying to fish for a good stun, then PPP is the one to use, because you have PPP, and there's an extra hit in PPP right here, like 3 PP, so you say move. If you go for the 4th P, you don't get as good a stun. You have plus 19 as opposed to just 3P. But the thing is that people think you ended here, you can like sneak in that hit, and there's even one more hit after that that just knocks the opponent away. So yeah, that's a long ass string. But yeah, so like 3P, like really good. It's a go-to lift stun. Like PPP, I mean, getting a lift stun out of your jab string is like really nice. I mean, the main reason you go for like PP 6P is just it's just kind of like safer. You get the option to go for the mid or the low, for instance. But this is also quite good. Also, with regards to following up with PPP or 3P, you could also do 3PK. I really like kind of like trying to kind of set things up with the opponent with this. Like this move right here, 3PK or PPPK, this is the same as 4K. This move, like, yeah, it has 2 potential follow-ups. You have this gigantic launcher with 4KP, or just simply doing 4KK, which is actually still a launcher. See right there, you can end up getting a decent-sized juggle even after that. Although I admit that in a patch like a couple months ago, it kind of made it that if someone ends up like holding this move, because the second hit of this move right here, that's an unholdable. What that means by unholdable is that the move cannot be held, or it's like a non-holdable move, or a hold-resistant move. So that means the opponent just does a sidestep when they end up holding. But yeah, it's a bit easier to punish that now, but it's still a pretty good move in itself. So what you do is right here. So you get decent stun when you're counted, so you're at +3. It's quite delayable. And you can always launch with back turn H+K when it does hit. Kasumi for mid-range is quite solid. I already said throughout this guide that 4P will be your go-to kind of counter hit fish and poke. If you end up connecting this, you can like fault with like P+K, like 66P, 66K. In general, you're trying to do like if 3P doesn't reach, then like you can like go for P+K. If P+K doesn't reach, you can do like 66P. Same with 3K. If P+K doesn't reach, then just use like 66P or 66K. But a nice perk with 4P is it does have to fall up in 4PK. So if you end up confirming the hit, then you can go for the juggle. It's pretty delayable, so you do have time to kind of confirm and go for the launch. If the opponent like holds right away, then just go for like your launcher throw kind of thing like that. As for 3K, it does have a follow up in 3KK, which is a high tracking kick that's like -8 on block. So same thing, if you have the opponent at the wall, I mean an angled wall hit just knocks you away. But if you have him at the wall, then you can end up going for like a small juggle just with your fatal rush. When you're ready to get in on your opponent with Kasumi and to get your offense started for mid-range, of course you're going to be looking to hit either 66P or 66K. Like, I mean, they're almost identical. They're almost identical moves. I mean, they're 16 frames. They both have good range, and they leave you at +19. Your follow-ups are going to be like 3P, stun extension. You can launch right away with like 8K. 3-3K will probably be your best launcher afterwards. 4PK. even like 7k. Also, sort of like a bunch of stuff you can do. I mean, 66k, of course, allows for the same type of follow-ups. So, but the thing is also, there's also a follow-up on 66k and 66k on hit K. Right, so when you knock the opponent down, and you can like go for like a four-stick setup. Same if you were to hit the opponent with like 66p, or more specifically 66pk. You can go for like a 4-stick setup afterwards. You can also use things such as like your jabs to end up establishing space with Kasumi around mid-range. So I mean, even just doing like a PP right here is still pretty good. So you establish you end up establishing a space in front of you because the opponent does not want to get hit by the moves that you can end up doing in front of it. Like that, like PP6P, PP6P, 2K, PPP. Like you don't like the opponent does not really want to get hit by the multitude of safe delayable, well, relatively safe delayable things that you could do out of your jab string. So the opponent does have to respect this. You can even try and sneak in like a PP2K. So yeah, and essentially just because getting stunned by Kasumi is really scary. From long range with Kasumi, I mean, well, if you have a life lead, then you can basically just kind of hang back and just move back and forth. Just use your generic movement to move back and forth between mid-range and long range. So just like 6-6-4-4 back and forth movement. If you do need to get on your opponent, then, I mean, aside from trying to move into mid-range, so then you can try and sneak in 6-6P, this is where your movement can come in handy. Your 3P plus K is going to be your go-to get-in stance. You don't even really have to do anything out of it. Just do 3P plus K. It's a good high crushing stance, so it goes under stuff really well. If you want a safe option, your elbow is just amazing. Like you probably already know, it's only -6 on block, so you basically can't really be punished for doing this. The opponent essentially has to duck it. The elbow comes out really fast, so it's pretty much unreactable. So you either do this, or you do this, and of course, if the opponent just simply, like, these things are gonna, like, high crush or anything, then that's when you can try and sneak in this, but you have to basically try and condition them first. I mean, usually they're gonna be standing there just, well, they're probably gonna be standing there blocking, expecting something, so that's why you can usually do this safely. And you do this once, and look how much space this covers. This covers a lot of space. You do it once, and, like, even from long range, you're basically now in around, like, close range, or very close to close range, or if you're not already in the opponent's face. So yeah, the Hoshinpo 3P plus K stance is really good, and it's a great go-to tool for, well, just simply getting on the opponent and closing the space. Anytime you need to create space with Kasumi, you're going to be using 7P. So you could do 7P or just do held down 7PP, just hold down 7. After you do 7P, then hold it down again, then you do a double flip, and right here, and you end up, it's the opposite of 3P plus K. This ends up going in on the opponent. This one ends up creating like a lot of space, although Kasumi's not, even though, yeah, she's a ninja, she's not really a long-range fighter. Like, she does have some, like, ranged moves or anything like that, but, I guess it's kind of a bit based on the opponent. Like, if you're playing, like, one of the, like, well, lowly characters, like a I don't know, like a Rory Rose, Hanukkah, like, Nico type or something like that, then you might occasionally want to, like, try and, like, keep your space, or also someone like Christy with a good kind of, like, range on, or good speed and, like, pressure on their moves in close range. You may want to, like, try and keep them back. You can use this, but in general, with, like, Kasumi, again, unless you have, like, a considerable life lead over your opponent, don't really bother, like, creating space too much with them. Just, again, just hanging around mid-range is just really good for Kasumi. You generally want to be in your 4P range or 3K range under most circumstances with Kasumi. With regards to Kasumi's Okizeme, let's say, for instance, any kind of juggle that ends in the PP 66P 6K juggle, right here, you end up causing, like, a hard knockdown like this. So you could just do that. You could do it twice. I mean, the opponent's still down, but the main thing is, let's say you do it twice. One more 2K will end up forcing them up. Then you have a moment to kind of, like, dash in. So you can either do, like, let's say, for instance, knock them down. Then you're in space. You can do, again, just to be safe with range, 66P or 66K. And if you know that, for instance, that the opponent's going to be, like, blocking, for instance, then you can do just, well, good old run-up throw. For more examples with Kasumi's, okay, let's say, for instance, you were to hit something like 66P twice in a row. You end up getting this new hard knockdown that ends up allowing for basically for Oki ground or Okizeme or ground setups. You could do 9KK twice. This is a pretty dirty thing that Kasumi has, is 9KK has got to be one of the few basically 2-hit ground strings that actually forces the opponent up. So, like, 6p, 6p. You do this twice and then opponent's up, and like same thing. Alright, let me just set it up. And again, you're in 6 XP range or 6 6k range. For Okizeme at the wall with Kasumi, let's say you just wall slam the opponent with something as simple as the Fatal Rush. Then back up with 4-4, then use 9 PP as like a guard break, as a meaty guard break. I know it's like negative at -4, but I mean it's not with Kasumi when you have a 9-frame jab and 12-frame 2P. It's not really the worst thing. And again, you still have your 4-4, your 4-4P. If you know the opponent's gonna basically just like stay there, you can also use 8P and just jump on the opponent's shoulders. It's the same as 9PT. Is same right there, so you can kind of alternate with both of them, because if you know if they're going to stand there, I mean, then they have to stand and block the 9P, and of course the throw will catch them if they're just staying there. When you wall slam the opponent and you know that they're going to go for a low wake up kick, H plus KK can actually punish that like pretty hard. Kasumi's throw game is strong, very strong, particularly because she has a 9-frame jab, 11-frame elbow, and 12-frame 2P. So, and basically, she's a character with a 9-frame jab and a throw that does 68 damage on normal throw. So if you were to connect this on high counter, for instance, this does over 100 damage. Yeah, you get 102 damage for connecting throw. So let's say you stun the opponent and you hit him with this, and they hold, you get 102 damage. So that's just plain nasty. Just for formality, I'll end up going over Kasumi's throws right now, and she has quite a bit. Her 5-frame neutral throw is pretty nice because it's probably one of the few 5-frame neutral throws that can get like environmental damage pretty easily. Like you can slam the opponent to the wall. It normally does 45 damage, but if you slam the opponent to the wall, you can get 55 on normal walls, and you end up getting like 60 damage on special walls. Like right there, it's normally 45. Kasumi's 6T or 4 throw, her 7-frame throw. This will be your go-to punish throw. It does 50 damage, and it might have a wall. I can check to see. It should have a wall version, which it doesn't feel like triggering. Anyways, for your 10-frame throw or your side switch throw, also your side switch throw is 4T. This one does have a wall version right here, and it can blast the opponent into the wall. There's another 7-frame throw, but I'll end up going over this in like a little bit since it's a combo throw. And for your you have a couple kind of hold, or I should say, you have like a couple hold punish throws, or throws that you can use against the punish and holds. You have your 12-frame throw here. This one is I only recommend this one against, let's say, super heavyweight characters that are a little harder to juggle off like the combo throws, just because their weight can make the timings a little kind of iffy with the combo. So with this, you just take the damage. On high counter, you get about 93 damage. It's perfectly respectable. If you're certain that you're going to hold, I mean, 12 frames is still kind of unreactable, but with the 17-frame throw, right here, 3-3T, Kasumi, yes, she has a 17-frame throw, which is not standard in Dead or Alive. This one is maybe, it's very slightly reactable, even though I know 17 is still hard to react to, but like, with 12 frames, it's almost completely unreactable. So if you know you're going to hold, or you just see a hold right there, smack them this, you get the 102 damage, and of course, you're basically your go-to throw under almost any circumstances or whatever you feel like it is the 2-3-60 launcher throw. Kasumi has a couple combo throws. I might have just really showed them. It's basically 6-6T, and then you can either fall with, for instance, 2T. Right there, take the 55 damage, or press the T button right where you see the blue combo hold, and you go behind in your plus 10. With the plus 10, that means you get a guaranteed 6P 6K. That's guaranteed. 4BK is guaranteed also. So any move that's 13 frames or faster will basically be guaranteed on the opponent's back. I recommend 4BK, or more specifically 6B 6A, because both of these do allow for combos. Like I'll end up showing some stuff that you can do off it in a little bit. And same with like the launcher throw right here. With this throw right here, I mean, it sets up pretty good damage. I'll say right now that it allows you to be able to set up it basically allows you to set up like wall damage also. So you can, if there's a wall, you can end up doing more damage than this. Even the standard juggle that you do off of this throw does give you like a lot of damage. But yeah, also one thing with regards to 6-6T then 2T, I mean, it is breakable, so you need to hit the to hit the throw timing before the opponent presses the throw button to break it. At a wall, do 2T. You get even more damage right here, and you slam the opponent in the wall for 65 damage. This is quite respectable, and it does scale with high counter if I'm not mistaken. You can just do a little check just to make sure. Yep, right there, 97 damage at the wall. Ooh, juicy damage. To complement Kasumi's already versatile throw game, she has a few specialty throws. For instance, I already showed you 8T, so if you press 4T or back throw on the opponent's shoulders, then you end up switching sides, you get 58 damage. If you were to jump onto the opponent's shoulders, which is also like 9PT, same thing, don't press anything, you just dump the opponent forward and leave him close to you, so whatever choice you do is like, perfectly fine. And, oh, yeah, I was saying earlier that if the main purpose for this throw is basically just to catch opponents that are expecting you to do any sort of mid, such as like 9PP, because at times it can be hard. You can't really tell if someone's gonna do 9PP or 9PT, so you can actually sneak this in really well, especially like after like an opponent's wake up or something like that. Another specialty throw is Kasumi's run-in T. All right, this throw is pretty amazing. I mean, it comes out so fast. You can usually sneak this in very easily when you're running the opponent. The reason why, because the opponent can't tell if you're doing like 6XP, so like basically running P, 6K, or basically like running K. Like the opponent can't really tell which one you're gonna do, and so you can usually sneak in this throw very easily. This throw does look very similar to, for instance, to Hoshinpo. Basically like Hoshinpo T, which is also kind of like the Oboro throw on 3-3T. See, they both seem quite similar. The run-in T throw does come out a lot faster, so it sneaks out where there's a bit of an animation when you end up doing. You see, and there's a little sound effect also when you do it out of either as 3-3T or as 3P plus KT. Alright, this throw of course can be a little harder to sneak in because the fact that the go-to move out of this is a high, even if that high is unreactable. So basically, I do occasionally have to get the opponent to, respect the K option, even though I do know it's unsafe. Like once the opponent knows that, yeah, I mean, you can end up like launching them or anything like that if they end up like pushing a button or like crouching or anything like that, then you'll be able to sneak in that throw like a little bit more easily. And of course, Kasumi has a crouch throw in 1T. Comes out in 7 frames, and it can smack the opponent into the ceiling. So anytime the opponent does any sort of any sort of unsafe low, such as, for instance, Kasumi's 6/6 H plus K, then punish them with 1T for a really dangerous ceiling combo. Kasumi's hold game is quite strong. I mean, let's see, her throw game's strong, her strike game is strong, so I mean basically every aspect of Kasumi's game plan is strong. And that includes into the hold game. Also, let me just throw back on the move details. Alright, that was the high punch hold right there, so a lot of Kasumi's holds tend to keep the opponent close by, which isn't really such a bad idea with Kasumi's. That's the mid punch hold leaves the opponent close by. See, low punch hold, switches sides, keeps them close by. Also, see, high kick hold. So you start to see kind of the theme here. And here's the mid kick hold right now. See, knocks the opponent forward. That one actually kind of quite a bit. All right, some unique one, and the unique one is Kasumi's low kick hold. This is particularly great against low wake. It takes you end up bouncing the opponent ends up allowing you to get a juggle, and I'll just show you some juggle stuff a little later. To complement Kasumi's already solid hold game, or just game in general, she has expert holds, because like, why not? I mean, a character with a 9-frame jab and 11-frame elbow, they totally need expert holds. Anyways, I'll just show them anyway. I'll show the expert punch hold first, inputted with 6-4 or forward back H or guard, and it looks like so. Alright, so at least Kasumi at plus 14. With plus 14, that means you get a free 4BK launcher follow-up. Basically like so. Like that, and I'll just end up like showing you combos off the holds in like a little bit. Alright, let me just show you the expert kick hold right now. Even though you can also guess, this one's pretty badass also. This one's inputted with 4-6 or back forward H like so, or back forward guard, and looks like this. And it's pretty awesome, and you can end up like falling like 214, a free 214p relauncher pretty easily. Remember how I said that Kasumi is strong on both offense and defense? Well, not only does Kasumi end up having expert holds and combo holds and the like, she also has parries. They're inputted with either 3H, so down forward H, or up forward H. Alright, for the high parries, since high holds catch both high punches and high kicks, honestly don't bother with this, it's pointless. However, your down forward 3H or your mid parry of course catches both like mid kicks or mid punches. For instance, if you were to end up parrying like I'll just parry one of Ayane's mids right here. Right here. So what you do is you go behind the opponent and you're at +2. Unfortunately with +2 you don't get anything guaranteed, but you do get a free kind of like pressure like situation after it. If I can get it right. The window's only 12 frames, so it's a little tight. Then you can end up like well, because with +2 with Kasumi basically means you can do like your jabs or like elbows, 3Ks or whatever for free. So generally afterwards, what you're gonna do is you could do like 6BK. So basically just use your normal kind of close range pokes. So either like jabs, elbows, like including like 6BK, 3K, any of that stuff you can end up doing for free. And if you know that the opponent's gonna be just like staying there, then you can go for a throw, but be careful, like especially characters like Ayane or other characters that have back turn attacks, they may end up pushing a button and end up high counter blowing you, so the safe thing to do is usually just go for an elbow. Generally you'll be going for the parries. For instance, if you end up, I mean, of course they're for any time when the opponent is going to retaliate your mid. So for instance, if you do something like 6BK on the opponent's block and you know they're going to retaliate with a mid, then you end up just doing 3H and you'll end up parrying their move, because I mean a move like a 6BK you can't be punished for it. So let's say the opponent tries to elbow you back or like mid kick you back or knee you back, then you just use the parry to catch him. Other than that, then you just normally would be using your holds to cover like either like lows or highs, for instance. Kasumi also has another parry, for instance, that's inputted with 4-3H. Like there's also 4-9H, but honestly, this again, like I said, don't bother with the high one. So with if you were to do the mid parry, for instance, then Kasumi ends up going in the Hoshinpo stance, and if you don't do an action out of it, you'll leave yourself negative. I don't really recommend this one too much. The only reason why you generally like use this one is if you want to like go for maybe the elbow after. Let's say you want to end up smacking the opponent you want to smack him into a wall when you end up switching sides. For instance, you have you end up having like your back to the wall and you want to switch sides and try and bang the wall. That's basically like the only time really when you would use this. And as you can see, it doesn't provide enough frame advance for the elbow to be guaranteed. So and the opponent can still block it. So I mean, under most circumstances here, it's nice to have another parry to work with. But usually if you're gonna parry, 3H is a good go-to. When you have the opponent at the wall with Kasumi, your go-to wall slams will be 6B, 6K. Your go-to juggle is just simply going to be the Fatal Rush right here. You get pretty solid damage for it. I mean, but if you'd like an alternative in case you're concerned that the Fatal Rush may drop, then after you wall slam the opponent... come on. Then just do PKK 6K. If you end up wall slamming the opponent with something like 7K, you could vault with the P option, then they get pretty decent damage by smacking them with the close ender. So basically, if you need to get like a lot of damage on the opponent, you end up bounding them. So I mean, don't be afraid sometimes to end up like using the break float if you need that extra damage in order to close out a round. Another good move to wall splat the opponent with is Kasumi's H plus KK. Alright, see this move does like a lot of damage. See right there, it just does 52 damage. Alright, do it twice in a row and I just got 78 damage right there just by just doing it twice in a row. The move is a track and high into a linear mid. So if you crouch under the first hit, then the second hit will smack you. It also has a low option for a small like mix-up opportunity. So it has a track and high, then there's a track and low, which looks a lot like 1K. So yeah, this is a good move. Again, if you know that the opponent's gonna do a low, such as like for instance like equivalent to like a low wake-up kick or anything like that, then I mean, especially if the opponent's in a corner, then use this to smack him to the wall, and then you can like just do like a lot of potential damage with that. Like the move is just really strong. Also, after like a break blow cancel, this is also a good. Let me set this up properly. This is also a good go-to. See right there, that's a lot of damage if you end up doing if you end up using this as your wall slam and move after a brick blow cancel. After a small wall splat, after let's say like a 6-6P, see this one right here causes a small wall splat. If you end up sidewalking, let's say to your left side, then you can set up a limbo stun by just doing another 6-6P. I will warn you that the window to do so can be a little small. So if you end up doing it doing it too late for instance, then the opponent can end up easily just blocking the 6-6P. So you have to almost try and do it as like one motion, 6-6P, sidewalk, 6-6P, then you get your limbo stun, and then you can go for like a pretty good combo after launching with 3-3P afterwards. When you have the opponent with their back towards a citizen assist, so basically the crowd right there where they end up groping the opponent, you're basically going to wall slam the same thing that you would normally wall slam. Like H plus KK is still like really good. You have enough space to basically hit like any of your launchers, no problem, and then you can like end up like wall slamming right there. So I mean like 3-3P. Let me try again. For some reason the 3-3 inputs don't read as well. And like Fatal Rush there, so you get like pretty good damage. You can also do PP7K, like no problem. Come on. And you can even like extend the stun with like P6P, 3P, PP. So basically, you can end up choosing whether you want to like keep the opponent there and pressure them with the Kasumi strong stun game, or you can just basically just like launch right away. Alright guys, that's it for now. Thanks for joining me on this very extensive Kasumi journey. And as always, I'd like to thank Smart Esports and Trollcoin for endorsing this video. And as always, if you like this video, smash that like button. If you didn't like this video, just hit the like button anyway, and don't forget to subscribe for more juicy 3D fighter content. In particular, I have a lot of Dead or Alive 6 and Dead or Alive 5 last round guides. So, I mean, both advanced guides, beginner guides, and basically character guides for like the entire cast, so be sure to check it out. And of course, if you haven't already checked it out, check out the Kasumi Novice Guide too, which complements this one. And also, if you'd like to support the channel, feel free to join Top Tier Fighters to support this help, and I do appreciate it. And I also like to take this moment to give another shout out to my premium Top Tier Fighters. Again, thank you for the extensive support. And if you'd like to join them, feel free to click on the Patreon link down below. And if you have any further questions, feel free to contact me on my YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Anyways, this is Force Nature signing off. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time on Top Tier Tips.